Dynamics on the drum kit. Hello, I'm Felipe Drago and welcome to Drago Drums. The previous video about technique was about dynamics only on the pad. Now we're going to apply those concepts to the drum kit. If you haven't watched that video yet, go there, then come back here, okay? If you have watched, let's continue. Before we start, let me suggest for you 3 books. It's Your Move by John Famularo, Accents and Rebounds by George Lawrence Stone, and Future Sounds by David Garibaldi. These are the books that will help you with the dynamics on the pad and on the drum kit. And everything I'm going to show you here, it's based on these 3 books. Okay? Now, with a more general approach, we need to learn to play everything in every different volume, in every different dynamic, from loud to medium to soft. Okay? So if I play this groove, at this volume, I need to know how to play it at this volume. Okay? Because we never know. If we only play stadiums, yeah, we don't need to worry about dynamics. But if one week we're playing in a theater, the next day we're playing in a very small venue, then we're playing in a stadium, then we're playing in a very small room, we need to learn all these different things. And the more you can play in different volumes, the more employable you are. Okay? So everything, as we've seen on the pad, depends on how high your stick is traveling. From here, it's obviously going to be very loud. From here, not as loud. And from here, not loud at all. And these are the things we need to learn. The other thing is, for example, ghost notes. I have a lot of students that whenever we have notes in between the main notes of the groove, they sound like this. That doesn't sound very good. So we need to learn how to play the in-between notes, let's call them, closer to the snare drum, and 2 and 4 in that case of this example I just played, then louder. It's very different. It grooves. It has its own swing because the difference in the volumes create the groove, okay? Another thing is, for example, the hi-hat. I can play a groove, a very simple one, accenting the beats 1, 2, 3, 4, and playing soft on the ends. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And I also can play that, accenting the ends and not the beats. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Creating a different flow to the groove. So all these little details, they make all the difference when you're playing. Another thing is, for example, the single paradiddle, where we accent the first note of every 4 notes. Paradiddle itself is a groove. So it creates a nice groove with all those different accents. Also create nice drum fills. Or you can play the accent on the tones. Now I'm going to play a groove that is the single paradiddle, and the fills are only the single paradiddle. So everything I just played is the single paradiddle. Another thing, remember an exercise I showed you in the other video where you can extend the first note of every 16th notes. And I showed the changing in accent, extend the first note, the second, the third, and the fourth. We can create drum fills based on that. And the same way I play the single paradiddle, I can go around the kit, accenting the first note, accenting the last note. I can play drum fills using that pattern. And it's different from just, which is the most common drum fill any drummer has ever played. So I'm going to play a groove, a very simple groove. It's not about how complicated, it's about how it sounds. So I'm going to play a very simple groove. First drum fill, accenting the first note. Second drum fill, accenting the last note. So if you accent, I just used 2 examples, but if you use all 4 examples, accenting the first, the second, the third, and the fourth note of the grouping, you have 4 different drum fills because they sound different. Okay? So now let's go to the book Accents and Rebounds. On page 5, the whole page, this is the pattern. You can use that as 16th notes on the hi-hat. So I'm going to play the bass drum, playing quarter notes, playing 1, 2, 3, 4, and that on the hi-hat. Listen how groovy it sounds. So you can create a groove based on that. You can create drum fills based on that. You can create a 16th note drum fill that changes that accent. Check it out how it sounds. So now I'm going to play a groove where I'm going to play that pattern around the kit, and then the accents of that pattern on the toms. Okay, so I have this other floor tom which increase the possibilities of sound, different sounds for my accents. But even if you have only one tom and one floor tom, no problem, because also you can play the accents on the cymbals with the bass drum. It's all about how you're going to use these different dynamics in different musical styles. It has to fit the music. So we practice on the pad, we practice on the drum kit, but then we let the music dictate what it is that we're going to play. Now, moving to a great book, Future Sounds by David Garibaldi. The whole book is about dynamics. The first pages, he discusses in details all these heights of the stick and how to get the sounds and everything. And it starts with a single paradiddle that I already showed you before. After you practice It's Your Move by Don Famularo, after you practice accents and rebounds, and you go to future sounds, your grooves are going to sound amazing. I'm going to explore now, I'm going to talk about a linear groove that is one of the many grooves. It's almost 70 pages of grooves, so just using one to show you. But it's a linear groove in David's book where not only there's accents on the snare, there are always accents on the hi-hat, creating a very dynamic groove. And it uses two concepts explained by John Famularo in the book It's Your Move. The pull out, where it's a soft, followed by a loud stroke, and a controlled stroke, which is the opposite. A loud stroke followed by a soft one. So you're going to see that in the beginning, the first from 1A to 2 is the pull out, and from 4 to 4E is the controlled stroke. Okay, I'm going to do very slow. So this is one of the grooves of the hundreds that you can find in David's book. As you can see, it also applies the concept of the controlled stroke on the hi-hat. I'm going to do a little bit faster. Now a little bit faster. Now a little bit faster. Okay, so start with the video on the pad, because on the pad you will learn the control, you'll learn all the coordination necessary. Then come to the video on the drum kit, okay? And explore the dynamics. Make your grooves breathe. Let them breathe. Don't play everything over the top or everything with no power at all. Create the contrast, okay? Thank you very much. See you on the next video.